Well, good morning, humanity. It is August 29th, 2022, and again, it's the favorite time of our week because it's Mondays with Bev and Paul. Hi, everybody. My name's Paul.
Oh, good morning. This is Bev.
Hello, Bev. Are you enjoying
Hello.
your allergies out there in
Oh,
Tombstone?
I'm dying in Tombstone, and they said the town too tough to die, but I think I'm gonna prove them wrong.
Oh, that's funny. I know it's quite the time after all that
Oh,
rain, but at,
ugh,
at least we're not inundated with floods. So
right.
it's actually pretty idyllic here in the Tucson area. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
Yeah,
gorgeous here.
green. The mountains are green. People are going
Oh,
up.
I
There's
know.
flowers. There's waterfalls. So if you need to get out of wherever you're at, come on out to Tucson,
Yeah,
where the
get
sky
away a bit.
so, hey, we're going to talk about BioTouch as an act of compassion. And one of the reasons we want to talk about that is, once again, I get all my news on Facebook. So,
There you
it's
go.
the best avenue for news, so long as you don't believe everything, but you look it up, right?
Right,
So
right.
I looked up this quote. There was a quote by the Dalai Lama, and he's a pretty neutral character. He says, "Our essential nature is to be compassionate." That's very good. Essential nature. From the moment we're born, our mother takes care of us. Without this care, we would not survive. This experience is our first opportunity to learn that compassion is the root of all happiness. However, this natural appreciation of compassion seems to fade once we go to school.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. We need to be reminded that good health and a peaceful state of mind are founded on love and compassion. What do you do,
Did,
Rick?
did, did you write to him about
Yeah,
BioTouch?
he must have read our manual. Who sent him a manual?
I know.
I mean, it was in our manual. What's it been? 34 years
30,
ago we put it
yeah,
in there. And so we
right?
just want to share with you what it says in our manual and talk about BioTouch being an act of compassion. Because in our manual, at the preface, there's a little section here, and it says there in the middle of that paragraph, everyone, because of their inherent love and compassion for those who are suffering, can perform these methods without limitation.
And you have spoken.
Inherent. It's
Yep.
not something you got to go get, you
Nope.
know?
We say that all the time, don't we?
Yes. And
It's already in us.
yes, and so this idea of having to get it or do these gyrations and, you know, meditate 10 hours a day or sit with your legs in this direction in order to be loving and compassionate, all we have to do is let ourselves be, who we are. Because
Absolutely.
it's like he's talked about here. That all got taken away. It's who we were when we were born.
Yes. Yes.
And it
Absolutely.
got taken away from us the minute we started going to school, and then we started, what's the word, we started judging ourselves. We started
And
not
everybody else.
yes, right, not trusting that we were loved, right? And we get a chance to really see that in this day and age. That which we judge in others is because we're judging ourselves all the time.
I
It,
know.
it's
It's true.
it's so it's really sad, that
Yeah, I
we.
know. And it was interesting to me when he said that when we start to school. And I have read many times that that first 6 to 7 years of our lives are really the innate part of ourselves rule, even during those terrible twos. But once we begin to go to public schools or to get schooling of any kind, it really does it programs us in a whole nother way. We are now at the mercy of society with these long held perceptions of who we are, who we're not, who we're supposed to be, on, and who that guy is and who that, and the separateness begins. And we were talking about the trust issue. First of all, what is trust? I'm not quite, that's something you can't tangibly get with your senses. It's a sense about a beingness, right? And that's what children exhibit.
Right.
They trust that they're going to be loved, that they're going to be taken care of by their mom, as he pointed out. And it's only after we get all that other programming that we say, oh, well, maybe not.
Right.
So here we are talking about biotouch in relationship to all of this. And we have said this many times, biotouch has the power to bring all of us into a safe place where we can trust, we can feel cared for.
Right. And we have the research to show that one. Here's the chart of that one. Feeling cared for. Here we had 4 different places, drug rehab community, which had the least amount of feeling cared for. And we
Right.
had a California facility, Hawaii facility, Arizona. Everybody was between the 5.5 to 6 feeling cared for pre-biotouch session. Afterwards, everybody was up around 8 of feeling cared for,
Yeah.
just with that simple little touch.
Right.
And that's the key. And you had a woman that you worked with. What was the first thing about trusting that she was loved? She said to you.
Yeah, I think we just stared at each other because that was like a reminder to me about how incredible biotouch can be. I had finished a session with her, and we hadn't known each other that long, which is going to be our point here. But she turned to me and said, Bev, I have never felt so loved in my life as I did in this session. And I thought to myself, well, isn't that interesting? Because she has just experienced that innate sense of ourselves, that compassion and love that we all are born with. And it was shared between the two of us without any words, without any, I care about you, just by that loving touch. That was so profound for me. It was beautiful.
And that's the key. And let's build on that with Gary Schwartz.
Yeah.
Who said the second lesson is somewhat deeper and frankly more inspiring to me and maybe to you as well. This is in the foreword to the book BioTouch Healing with the Power in Our Fingertips by Deborah Schildhouse. He goes on, the lesson relates to a theme expressed through Deborah's book, the importance of love and the process of receiving and giving non-sexual loving touch. The kind of love that BioTouch fosters is a high level of love, including empathy, compassion, caring, kindness, gentleness, protection, safety, warmth, gratitude, appreciation, and respect. A high level of love.
A high level, which we've often
Right,
referred to. Yeah.
which is a love that can't really be put into words. It's sort of a
No.
word we use for something that the Dalai Lama is talking about. It's innate
Right.
in us.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, and it's universal. We
right,
don't
right,
words are, and we always say that about biotouch. It's a language of love. That light touch is a language of love on its own. And this is where we always have to put Dr. Bruce Lipton and his research in there because I'm always reminded. I swear somebody told him about biotouch too, because when I first read what he said about his research that he did, that we can change the story at the cellular level in our bodies, but here's the only way. You got to retell the story with love.
right.
And the moment I read that, I thought, that is what BioTouch can do. It can retell that story. That self-awareness comes, but it goes down, I swear, that right on the skin. That's why it's physical. That's why it is applied to our physical body, because it has a communication to the cellular level, and it can help change the story
And that's
of love.
and that's interesting when you just brought that up, because I realized it's not about this concept of trying to love ourselves. People ask us all the time, can you work on yourself? Well, that's a common question because we've become so separated from our fellow human beings, from humanity. And so we want whatever we can do to keep that bubble, because that's where we feel secure, is on our own little bubble. And so, but to love ourselves, it is difficult, and which is why touching yourself, yeah, maybe it's effective in loving yourself, creating a dialogue of compassion for yourself, allowing yourself to be have mistakes or to be this or that, whatever. But boy, the power when you let somebody else into that bubble, when you let them pierce your veil of protection with those two fingers in the most powerful point of your body, that solar plexus right below the breastbone,
Yep.
there's really no greater love.
Well, there's the trust, isn't it?
Right.
There's the trust and feeling safe and feeling cared for.
Yes.
If it was a whole different universe set up, well, maybe that touching and self-care and everything would be viable. But we all know, and the language is beginning to be changed, and it's right there in our vision statement. We are connected, like it or not. We are a group. We didn't come in alone, believe it or not. We may have come in individually through, our family, but our whole innate beingness is a group. It's called humanity. We are not separated from each other. We need each other. We need to touch and to hold and to, just and be together. I'm serious. That's part of our programming in school,
Right.
as he was talking about.
Right. And so BioTouch is a reprogramming, which is why we continue after all these years and we've been challenged with it. Oh, do you have to touch on the skin? Oh, can't I just do this on myself? Well, you can, but that's not BioTouch. I mean, we're not saying all those things aren't helpful. What we're saying, though, is BioTouch, we know as a system where one person takes those index and middle finger of each hand, lightly touches another human being on the skin, lightly like a butterfly for 6 to 8 seconds, we know that that's an expression of love and compassion. And so healing happens, just like the Dalai Lama said. We need to be reminded that good health and a peaceful state of mind are founded on love and compassion. Good health.
There's that word happiness.
Right.
We
Health
have
and happiness.
Health and happiness. That's part of what we know BioTouch can offer. And we know a state of happiness is, boy, one day you're there and one day you're down in the dumps. It's not, it's not a consistent experience for any of us in humanity. Right. There's this habit of misery. A habit of misery is right. What we have really linked into. That's our path of least resistance. And now right. It's time to love each other. Care about each other.
And so that's why it's important that we all learn this very simple technique. Dr. Kenneth Stevenson, in her research, she related BioTouch to that kangaroo touch, that touch of a loving mother, and she showed exactly. there's no levels, there's no having to center yourself, there's touching on the skin, all these things that are natural to us as mothers and natural to all of us as human beings. And BioTouch allows us to live naturally. There's a good one. It allows us to live naturally.
It does. It does. That's really good. And be affluent.
Yes. A fluency is a fluency when you give it away, folks. So please, we're asking you to learn about BioTouch and do it. Do it on one another. Reach over and touch a loved one. It doesn't take but taking the index and middle finger of each hand, we're just going to share it with you. Take your dominant hand, touch another human being on the breastbone, just below the breastbone, soft tissue area for 6 to 8 seconds. Take that same dominant hand, touch just to the left. If you lean your head forward, there's a big bone pops out. Go to the left of that, 6 to 8 seconds. Boom. If all you can do is the greeting, right? You've started a healing process.
You've begun a loving journey for that body.
Right. That's right. And you get to participate in their healing.
I know.
That's another thing that's just wonderful. You're not helpless or hopeless. You get to participate with people as they heal. And as they heal, you heal. And it creates, like we said, a chain that will go on indefinitely.
Right.
And boy, do we need it more than ever right now,
Oh, absolutely. And I've often thought, oh, it's so interesting how this amazing modality, when it came back through Norman in the 70s, anybody who's done any, studying of social history knows that that was an opportune time for change to start to happen. And here's BioTouch now, when we are going through this very challenging time, all of us.
Yes. And interesting that in that little town of Mancos, Colorado, where people for generations almost hated each other,
Yeah.
you had people coming from all over the four corners. You had from the reservation, you had migrant farm workers, you had cowboys, you had ranchers, you had women, you had men, you had gay people, you had all kinds of religious belief people, religious belief systems there, and they were all there for the same reason. They were all suffering. They all wanted a little bit of healing. They wanted a little bit of love and compassion. And one of those old timers turned to me and went, Norman Carroll brought love to the Mancos Valley.
Wow.
All through a little touch. And in that touch, people, they'd forget to walk out with they'd leave their oxygen tanks. Oh my God, I forgot my oxygen tank.
Oh, my wheelchair's back at the
Yeah,
house.
right. That's like, things that you would think are miracles. Well, it's not. Miracles are every day, folks. And BioTouch
Right.
gives us an opportunity as an act of love and compassion with our fellow human beings. So
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go
Go ahead.
for it.
Go ahead.
No,
No,
no.
when you said that, it just triggered me. These days I've got to grab it. What were we talking about? See what I said? No, the miracle.
Right.
I'm being reminded of lately, that it's our bodies are miracles, because when I work with BioTouch with another person and I see these results, I'm like, I have to remember, my gosh, that body is fully capable of bringing itself back into this loving state of beingness.
Yes.
That's what it wants. That's the innate sense of the body anyway, right? Whole and healthy and happy. And BioTouch gives me the opportunity to just use those few sets of points, whatever it's going to take, and then you see this miracle happen.
Right.
It's the body itself.
So we're asking you to participate in the miracle of life and healing with us. Learn BioTouch. We also have one other sharing of this with Horace's song, which we play at the end here. He wrote this song and just wanted to go over and make sure you got the refrain that he has. He goes, it's called Put Love into Action. He goes, choose love while you still can. Interesting. That's an interesting statement, because it has to be done while we're here. It doesn't happen after we're gone. So choose love while you still can. Don't even try to understand, right? The healing grace in your own hands. Put love into action.
The healing grace in our hands. All of us have healing grace in our hands.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So please join us. Go to justtouch.com. Send us an email if you have questions, office@justtouch.com. Whatever it takes, we're here. We have classes, we have workshops. We just did a great class on colitis. Look it up on our website. You can watch the whole workshop. We'll do whatever it takes. Got a couple of calls with people this week in helping them with particular instances of suffering that they're going through in their own family. So
right.
We're here to help. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Bev.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, and we're going to give you Horace's song, The Healing Grace in Our Own Hands. See you all.
See you.
If pain has got you down and you live in town, take a trip down to Pima Street. The people down there are people who care. They will get you back on your feet. Put love into action. Put love into action. If you ever want to have any real satisfaction, choose love while you still can. Don't even try to understand the healing grace in your own hands. Put love into action.